This is Arukh HaShulchan YD, Siman Lamates, Sif Kuf Tezayin 2, Siman Mem, Steve Bays. And this is Supplemental Day 289 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Lamates, Kuf Tezayin, last Sefer Kuf Tezayin in Lamates. Kosar Chaim, the Achim wrote, Sheshvaim Beread, the Dildulim, sometimes they're are in the lung protrusions, the Dildulim strands, Mutsuyim Bishpule, and they're at the ends of the unos. Venasirka cloud, it's not considered to be an adhesion of Lomikarea, so it's not considered a flaw. What do you call the Bakim? Experts know about it. Sometimes you find on the lung a mulya, it's like a sack. Shkoin shlufruk, or a tiach, or a boil. Shkoin shvim. Historically, you have to peel them liros in haret tachtam shalim and see if the lung underneath is whole, and nice. If it inflates properly, if you didn't check it by blowing it up, yesh lesor, and you have to here it says the version I have in front of me yesh lesor, but reading this off an application because they don't have an Arukh HaShulchan with me today in school, and I'm recording this. I should say yesh lesor. Can you find matzah sheyesh nekoim b'reach? Because sometimes there are holes in the lung. But there's a hashlufruk, and that's why you got this growth over there. If when you open the diaphragm, kafats kiluch mayim mivitnim, a burst of water came out from inside. You have to turn the animal on its side, and drain all the water. And check the lung afterwards if it inflates properly. It doesn't matter if it's disgusting water or clear water. Most times it's prevalent. When you find water inside, you'll find holes in the lung. In a spot in which there's something like red dots. There's also dry spots in the lung when there's water inside it. I guess when there's water inside the chest cavity. You have to check this. We explained already the laws of a double whammy, a double flaw. There's not necessarily always such a concept. But you should know sometimes there's a wide adhesion of ava, which is thick, baruka, and long, from the lung to other places. And out of this adhesion, the things which look like sinews full of blood. The circle can be peeled off nicely. The remains clean and pure, without any bubbling blood. And it looks to the eye, it seems that this is like a membrane which extends on this adhesion from another place. And from there, it got this countenance as if it's sinews full of blood. Maris Ayn, the way it looks. So Shochet has to ask a shayla. My name is Shpod Chacham. That's what they see. The Chacham should make a judgment call. If you can't specify everything right. Chacham HaShochet Ubodek HaMumcha, the rabbi and the expert Shochet. Yavinu Mahem Ma'el, to understand what these are. Vinu Shein Zimei Amatzvav, to understand that this kind of scenario is not for long itself. You can say it's kosher if it's a case of a substantial loss. And give us a wise person these halachos and become even wiser. Because the matters of the lung are strange. And everything which is written in the books, it can't depict all the types of new scenarios which could happen, new types of conditions. So there's you need a lot of expertise. You need a fountain of wisdom. You need divine assistance. Be the kosher b'isur, not to stumble in a prohibition, chas v'shalom, but lochas ha-moshe at the same time. Be careful with Am Yisrael's money. Okay. Siman Mem. Dine tarvus halev. The halachas of the trephus in the heart. If you mashuman, so same, and if the fat closes it up. V'din kana alev, and the law of the blood vessel of the heart. Aleph, halev yesh lo shlosh chalon. The heart has three cavities. Echad gadol be'emtza, one large in the middle. Echad katam b'yamino, one small one on the right. Echad katam b'shamal, one small one on the left. I believe that we hold today there are four cavities. But that's what's going to come up in the discussions here. If there is a hole to one of the cavities, treif. If the hole does not reach the cavity, even if it gets adjacent to the cavity, it's kosher, it's tasteless. And even if it's a hole from side to side, but it does go into the cavity. Such as there is a puncture in the flesh of the heart, before it gets to the cavity, it's kosher. It's the Ran. Base, V'dai, you should know that. Okay, there are three cavities. Avram, Rav, the Ram and the Bartanura, only two cavities. Rashi, here it says Yud Lamidi, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it's a type of Rashi Zal. I don't know. And has many small chambers around in the large hole. It should tell us some machlok in those who want to make it a machlok. How many cavities the heart has? It's for sure. See the prima going. Okay, can't be. How can there be a machlokes in reality? But this is the way we've clarified this. Around the large cavity is arba chalolim. There are four cavities. But two of them are literally one. Only above there is a separate between them a membrane, which is separates from each other. And below that membrane, they're one cavity. And at the beginning of the this cavity, there is a large cavity. From them into the to the middle large cavity. And they are literally as one with the large cavity. There's another cavity, which is a cavity into itself. Only at the bottom of the cavity, it spills into the large cavity. And there's another cavity by itself. By itself from beginning to end. It doesn't go into the large cavity. There's no machlokas in halacha. Rashi is going on how it looks from above. That there are many cavities around the big cavity. The Rama only mentions a small cavity, which doesn't spill at all into the large one. The three remaining ones, like one with the large cavity. And to also include the chol at the bottom, which at its bottom spills into the large one. Because since the bottom, it's a chol by itself. But the two, which there's only a membrane between the two of them, immediately they go into the large cavity. They're not included. They're one literally with the large cavity. And many other small chambers. They're not actually chambers. They're from the arteries and from the tubes. And he says the back of Spheres 7 with two Kushas places ala Rosh Ayin Shabaduk. Okay, whatever the question is resolved that way. You can see here in the picture. Sorry, it's not so clear. Let me try to make it clearer. There you go. That on this side here, there are two chambers, and there's a very thin membrane between the two of them, and there's another chamber on the other side. So those are three chambers, which can be construed to be two. And you can see all around them there are arteries and and blood vessels, which look like they're possibly other chambers. But as there are, on this one side you have 2, and the other side you have 1. Okay, so that's why you have machlokes. It's 2 or 3 because between these 2 chambers over here, where am I pointing? See these 2 chambers over here, there's a very narrow krum. Okay, and we will come back to this. We'll come back to this obviously as we continue in these halachas. That's it for today.